What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I decided I'm going to film while I'm driving to work today because I literally have no motivation to do anything during the days. Mental health is fun. But today is a Storytime video. I wanted to sort of keep it in the theme of like February being about love and stuff because of like Valentine's Day, and when we did like the amethyst and the violets, they both spoke about having connections with like love and stuff. So I thought, let's keep it in theme. And yeah, that's going to be what today's video is. I decided, I was looking at the same article that I was looking at when I chose last month's Storytime, and I decided, screw it, we'll just start at the top. We sort of just chose a random one last time, but we're just going to start at the top and work our way again from now. That way I sort of tick them off. It's an easy way to sort of remember which ones I've done, which ones I haven't. So the top of the list was awkward dates, and pretty sure all of mine have been as such because I am an awkward person. So I thought I would switch it up a little bit, sort of combine a whole bunch of different things. So instead of awkward dates, it's still going to be sort of surrounding that, but I'm also going to incorporate the like, I think it's like a psychological theory that in your lifetime you'll have 3 significant relationships. The first being like puppy love, the second one being like a love that feels real, but it's ultimately just there to teach you something about yourself, and the third one's like your true love. And I thought I'd combine both of those ideas by telling you about some of the hardest breakups that I've had, because let's also turn this into a therapy session while we're at it. Why not? Yeah, let's get into this. So I'm going to have more than 3, I think, in this. Some of them are just going to be like short little, like 10-second sort of little stories, and then there's going to be others where it's like, you know, the big ones. It's sort of been, this guy has been on my ass for the last 10 minutes. My friend, have a good life. Probably start with like my first ever relationship. Having not had relationships before this one, obviously, it's the first. It was, in hindsight, very toxic. Very toxic. It was an on again, off again sort of thing, which after that, not here for. And like they would always, like I was in like year 8, okay? So we're going back to like 2008 here, okay? Long time. And they would continually like, you know, we'd make it like a week or 2, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, no, I don't want this anymore. And then literally come to school the next day and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I mean, like, at the time I was like, no, I genuinely like you. Yes. Which, look, young and naive, okay? I am well aware now, it's very dark, I'm taking these off. I'm well aware that was not at all healthy. But that's what happened. And so, yeah, fun times for all involved. up until the point where I just got sick of the fact that it was on again, off again, on again, off again, and like every time they'd come back and they just show no remorse and they just showed no signs of stopping. So like, nah, I'm done with this. Like I'm actually just exhausted by the fucking whiplash. So bye. That was the first relationship. Second relationship, probably one of my biggest regrets, if we're being completely honest. And wasn't the relationship itself, it's what happened, the sort of end of that relationship is the regret itself. So in one of the breaks in that first relationship, I was like, no, and sort of towards the end as well, I was sort of getting to the point where I was like, I'm done with this. I want to move on and like, you know, either focus on myself or, you know, talk to someone new or whatever. And, you know, there was a very pretty girl that I, you know, sort of knew liked me. So I was like, yeah, I mean, I like you too. Let's give it a shot. And then that night, you got a text from the first relationship ex, where they were all being all like, oh yeah, sorry, rah, 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 rah. And I'm naive, and I do not at all condone my actions here. But in my head, I was like, oh yeah, if I say yes, and then like in front of you at school tomorrow, be like, yeah, no, I don't know what you're talking about. We're properly done. That I would like have gotten my revenge on the fucking emotional whiplash. Only to get to school the next day and find out that person had sort of told everyone in their friends group that they were back together, and the person that I had actually wanted to go out with, the one that I had intended the entire time to be going out with, had sort of heard, and I essentially cheated on them, which is something that I've never been about, and that's why that's one of my biggest regrets. If for whatever reason that person is watching this video, I'm so sorry. That was shitty of me. I mean, I don't really have any excuse, but so I think for me that was sort of like the puppy love one, and like, yeah, the whole teaching me that like, oh yeah, no, there are consequences for your shitty actions, particularly, like yeah. So that for me has always been a big one. The one that probably taught me the most, the second love, years later, sort of about halfway through my final year of school. Actually one of my longest relationships to date as well, 8 months. And towards the end of it, I had actually gone to Italy on exchange. Now I'm going to preface what happened here by saying that they were also my first, and that their best friend had been one of those like relationships that you have in high school that aren't really a relationship. You're just sort of there to be like, oh yeah, look, we're so like, so yeah, the stars really were not in position for this sacrifice, but that's how it was. And so, for that reason, I guess, this particular ex's best friend just didn't really ever approve of us being together, because it was her best friend and one of her exes, sort of a thing. And it wasn't like I dated this girl and then was like, oh no, your best friend's hotter. Like, it was like I knew this first girl and then we'd broken up, and then a couple of years later I met the other one, and it was only after I started dating, it was like, oh, you guys are friends. So it wasn't like I deliberately gone out and started dating like my ex's best friend. That wasn't what happened there. I'm not about that, because that just, I don't know, feels disrespectful. And there is at one point in relationships a time where you respect that person, you think very highly of them, and so to do that to someone just spits in the face of all of that. Anyway, I'd gone off to Italy for student exchange. I was there for 2 months. 2 months? 3 months. It was a short one. But I was there and I was doing that. I was thoroughly enjoying it. But there was just like this looming like homesickness where I was like, okay, clearly like an exchange it was really one of those things where it's like, it sucks that it took so much money and stuff to get me over there for me to realize that, oh, this isn't for me. But at the same time, like, I thoroughly enjoyed being there. I made a lot of really good friends that I still to this day talk to, and it's been 8 years. So like I've got some pretty good friends over there, which is always nice. But I came back, and working theory, because I never got any sort of explanation at all as to why this relationship ended. So the working theory is that while I was away, best friend was talking into ex's ear, and had sort of convinced them that I wasn't for them. So yeah, that was a hard one. And between not getting any explanation and it having been, at the time, my longest relationship, I was just sort of like caught off guard by it, and yeah, fun times. So that was a hard shock, and I think sort of the biggest takeaway from it was sort of who I am as a person in like relationships, and I mean, obviously, having basically, it was obviously like we'd gone to the same school. I was in school when we started dating, so there was like 6 months there where I basically saw them every day, and then all of a sudden there's 2 months where it's like forced long distance, and I got to speak to them like once a week, sort of a thing. The long distance doesn't work for me, and I'm very much an in-person sort of relationship type person. And then that brings me to my last two for this one. So the first one, we're still very good friends. This one was only a couple of years ago. We're still very good friends. But it was sort of one of the key factors into why I'm now seeking professional mental health, like help with my mental health. I fell into a spot of depression during the relationship, and for me, that means that, like, during my depressive episodes, that I will just not bother with, like, cleaning. So or at least my side of the room got very messy, and it got to the point where they didn't even feel comfortable sleeping in our room, because my depression mess was affecting them, and their mental health. Completely valid reason, and I get it. It was just at the time I didn't really see it as an issue. And like I said, we're still really good friends. We still talk a heap. But yeah. And then so the last one that we'll talk about is my most recent one. Has been really the thing that sort of was the straw that broke the camel's back for getting help. It was only a 4-month relationship, and it ended about 4 months ago as well. But I still thoroughly miss them, and not in the like I want to get back with them sort of capacity, like that ship has sailed. I miss them in the way of, like, because even though it was only a 4-month relationship, and this is probably like a red flag to some people, but we had moved in together at one point. It was sort of because my parents had bought the house that I'm now living in with them, and I'd sort of been told that it was going to be a bit of a smaller one, and so I should try to find somewhere to. And so I'd moved in with her, with the idea of it being, I'll move in there while I look for somewhere else to move, so that I've got my own space, they can have their own space, and you know what I mean. But that's probably a red flag for some people. It was what it was. No, I miss them in the way of, like, because of that fact, and because it was like quarantine and we weren't really able to go and socialise with a whole heap of other people, and at the time I didn't really have work or whatever. I was like, they were like, you know, because I'm not able to go and like socialise with any of my other friends, it was literally just like they were my social life for 4 months, and then all of a sudden it's ended, and they're like, yeah, I don't think we should even try to be friends after this, sort of thing, like, so I just got completely like cut off, which is what made it difficult. So like, yeah, like I just miss talking to them. You know, like there was a reason I started dating them, so there's a reason that I would still want to talk to them, because it wasn't purely like, you're physically attractive. Yes, it was a, you know, yeah, you're pretty, but you also have some really, you know, you have some opinions that I agree with. You have some, you know, like yeah, the personality that I can vibe with, sort of thing. So yeah, so that was that relationship sort of thing. But it ended because I clashed hard with her dad, and she's very family involved, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that, and I'm not trying to badmouth any of these people. That's why I'm not naming names. But yeah, I clashed super hard with her dad. Didn't approach the situation well at all because I was trying to deal with my own head first. And yeah, it didn't work out, and it's only been in the last probably week and a half, 2 weeks that I've decided to just, because we were still listed as friends on Facebook and stuff, we just weren't talking. So her name and stuff would come up when I was like in Messenger and stuff. So I was like, I can't. The temptation to try and talk to you is there, even though I know you're not going to answer. So I sent her one final message being like, this is where I stand, and I do apologise for everything that happened. Probably about the 4th time I'd apologised for everything that happened, because it, like, again, I didn't handle the situation well at all. So yeah, I sent her one last message, and then once I had seen that she saw it, I deleted the message and unfriended her on Facebook and stuff. And I found out that she no longer works at the place that she was working at when we were together. So there's like 0% chance of anything at the moment, like a very slim chance at most, that I will see her in passing in the street. But yeah, if I did, I'd probably just give her like a civil wave. I wouldn't try to talk to her, I don't think. I think I would try to hold myself to just a civil wave if I had to do anything, just to sort of acknowledge that I see her and that she exists, but otherwise, yeah, that's where we're at. So those have been my hardest breakups. I have had those like high school relationships that aren't really relationships as well, obviously. And there have been a couple of other ones that were just sort of like, okay, yeah, no, that didn't work out. It is what it is, whatever, move on. But those ones are sort of the ones that sort of occasionally will just sort of come back and be like, remember this time you did this one stupid thing and like ruined your whole chances with this amazing person? And it's like, yep, thank you, brain, didn't need the negativity. But yeah, so those are some of my hardest breakups. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new here, and ring that notification bell if you want to be notified when I'm uploading videos. Let me know in the comments down below what one of your hardest breakups is. Do you have some like, do you have a really good breakup story? Let me know in the comments down below. Or if you've already made a video of it yourself, link it to me. Let's bond over our shared misfortune. Unless we're in a toxic relationship, in which case let's celebrate your fortune getting out of that shit. And until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.